Hello, folks. Thank you for checking in on our Trini Corner episode, where we're highlighting a wonderful actor, storyteller, comedian, and that's just part of her title, Rhoma Spencer. Hello, folks. Welcome to Trini Corner's episode brought to you by Caribbean Airlines and supported by our dear Consul General Jean and Dinah, Trinidad and Tobago Consulate, New York. Thank you, Mr. Laveau. I'm Ozzie Stewart. I'm very, very grateful that you're here checking in on the shining of our light on Miss Rhoma Spencer. Award-winning Trinidadian actor, storyteller, comedian, but I'll tell you more in a minute. So please like, follow, share, subscribe, drop a comment. Every story leaves a mark. Every voice builds a movement. Now, the spirit of On the Call with Ozzie can travel with you, worn, shared, and supported across the world. Visit us for more merch. onthecallpodcast.com/store. Check it out. Thank you. Wait for our after show, Inside the Call, where we're going to get to know a little more about Rhoma. So, like I do, now it's to talk about who Rhoma is. And it's not in a nutshell. This woman has done quite a bit. So, Miss Rhoma Spencer, Acusia Spencer, is an award-winning Trinidadian actor, director, playwright, storyteller, comedian. You should see some of her stuff. And cultural critic. Known for her significant contributions, particularly Caribbean theatre in Canada. Born in Trinidad and Tobago, she has lived and worked in Toronto, where she quickly established herself as a prominent figure in the artistic community. A graduate of New York University, Spencer earned her MFA in directing in 2001 and has since made a substantial impact through her innovative productions and performances. In 2005, Spencer founded Theatre Archipelago, a company dedicated to showcasing Caribbean narratives. Under her artistic direction, TA produced several critically acclaimed works, including Mad Miss / Just Jazz, and that was 2005, Fallen Angel and the Devil Concubine in 2006, Twilight Café in 2007, Marcus Garvey in 2009, and Obeah Opera in 2012. Busy. Her passion for Caribbean storytelling has garnered her recognition in prestigious publications such as the Globe and Mail, Now Magazine, and the Toronto Star. Her acting credits span a range of influential productions, including Jean and Dinah at Lord Street Theatre, House of Bernarda Alba, Modern Times Aluna, Things Fall Apart, and 2 seasons of the groundbreaking sitcom The Kink in My Hair. Her performance in House of Bernarda Alba earned her a Dora nomination for Outstanding Performance in 2022. And she also starred in the award-winning film Scarborough and received acclaim for her short film Sound of Tears, which won an African Academy Award for Best Narrative Short. Spencer made her mark with her debut album, Rhoma Spencer Caribbean Comedy 6.0 in 2022, which was released at the Black Woman in Comedy Laugh Fest at New York's Gotham Comedy Club. Been there. And her earlier work, Ring Beding, in 1997, reflecting her unique blend of wit and cultural humor. She has become a sought-after MC in the Trinidadian community in Toronto and has performed in Washington, Boston, Canada, and New York. She was also part of the Nubian Disciples of Comedy Review at Yuck Yucks. She received a U.S. proclamation from the House of Congress for her contributions to Caribbean theatre in 2014, particularly for the play Jean and Dinah. And additionally, she has been featured in listings such as Who's Who in Black Canada and the Trinidad and Tobago 50th anniversary publication of Distinguished Nationals in Canada in the field of arts and culture. Woman is just paving paths. Spencer's artistic journey is also marked by her role as the outgoing artist in residence at the Bonham Center for Sexual Diversity Studies Queer and Trans Research Lab at the University of Toronto, where she has been developing projects that amplify underrepresented voices, important especially in the new world we're living. Among her notable initiatives during her residency in the creation of musical based on the life of Calypso Rose, a pioneer in the Calypso genre, which highlights the challenges women face in the music industry. I can't wait to see that, guys. That's like a work in progress. In 2017, Spencer founded the Canadian Caribbean Arts Network, further solidifying her commitment to promoting Caribbean arts in Canada. She has served as the artistic director of the Canada contingent at Carafesta 13 in Barbados and Carafesta 14 in Trinidad and Tobago in 2019. She's played a vital role as a director in various productions, including Carnival Medea, which premiered at the International Collegiate Fringe Festival in Edinburgh in 2015. She's directed several influential films such as And the Girls in Their Sunday Dresses, Anawa, and Just Jazz, often showcasing works that explore themes of identity, resilience, and social issues pertinent to the Caribbean diaspora. Lord, grow up, Caribbean diaspora. When not on stage or engaging in artistic endeavors, Spencer is a passionate foodie who creatively reinvents traditional Trinidadian cuisine. Gosh, I wonder if she should taste my full jaw now. She runs Sweet Hand Delights, a catering service specializing in traditional Caribbean dishes like black cake, punch a creme, and pastels. Did you bring any?
No.
Anyway.
It done.
It done. Her culinary skills allow her to share the flavors of her homeland with friends in the broader community. She stands out as a veteran theater practitioner in Toronto, consistently pushing boundaries with her multifaceted contributions, using her platform to confront social issues and empower others through art across acting, directing, playwriting, and comedy. With a career punctuated by significant achievements and cultural accolades, she remains a powerful voice in both the Caribbean and Canadian arts landscapes, inspiring future generations of artists and audiences alike. Now, is that enough? No, we're going to go talk to her now. So, Rhoma, finally. What inspired you to pursue a career in arts? And how did your upbringing in TNT, Trinidad and Tobago, influence your artistic journey?
As a kid growing up, I remember I was always very excited around anything local on television. Whereas my sisters, my other siblings, would have been pissed off because TTT, our national television company back home, would have preempted all the foreign shows in order to beam live Best Village. They would have been pissed off because they can't see things like Peyton Place and Big Valley and Ironside and so on, because for the next 4 hours on TTT, it's live to air Best Village taking place in the Queen's Park Savannah.
Right.
And only my mother and I were the ones who will be up watching that. And I loved it. Right. Loved that. Loved when there was Play of the Month, which was, again, a theater production that they would have videotaped to air for something called Play of the Month. Right. These are the things that inspired my trajectory towards the arts. There was also another program called Banyan Television Workshop. Yeah, with Tony Hall and Sprangeland.
Yeah, I worked with Tony.
Yeah, Tony's my mentor. Yes. They had a soap opera back in the day called Who the Cap Fit.
Yes.
You remember Joan Kilgore?
Of course.
Good. Joan was the star in that. Joan Kilgore and John Isaacs.
Yeah.
And as a kid looking on, I said, I want to be like them. Okay? But it's something that you just kept in your head. You don't want to say that aloud because you don't want anybody laughing at you.
Right.
You know? So those were the things that I was seeing on my television that I appreciated and loved a lot and wanted to be like them.
Right.
Right? So that was the inspiration behind the arts. And then growing up in Trinidad and Tobago, I was born in Trinidad, but we moved to Tobago when I was 3 years old, and we had a guest house there. And I returned to Trinidad when we moved back when I was 14 years old. But my time in Tobago, I must say, it formed who I was. Who I became, okay? Between moving from Tobago to Trinidad, that shaped the person that I want to say. There's so much about Tobago's upbringing that was different from Trinidad. So I had two experiences, the Tobagonian experience and the Trinidadian experience.
Lucky.
And those two, again, is what today inform the art that I create. And then I moved on to performing in Best Village. And to me, that was it. That was it. When my cousin, excuse me, took me for the first time to see Best Village live. So remember watching it on TV, right?
Right.
So I would have been about in Form 3, so 15 years old.
Right.
Seeing it live. Oh, I was so excited, Ozzie. And then lo and behold, by the time I was in fifth form, I sat next to a girl who danced with Barataria. And I said to her that, I had an interest. I really would love to, join a Best Village group. I want to do drama. And she said she'll talk to the drama tutor, they called them then. It was really the playwright and the director. And she did just that. And he said, well, yeah, let her come down to the community center. It's Barataria. We lived in a Rhoma. But, and so it's a long way to come to Barataria. But I wanted to be with the best because Barataria was the winning village, right? And the dancers were top notch. All of the dancers, like she was dancing with Asta Johnson, right? So most of the dancers were members of the Asta Johnson repertory workshop, right?
Yeah.
So they had a really great dancing corps and the drama. So I wanted to be with the best.
Right.
Joined up with Barataria, and the rest is history.
Your work often explores themes related to Caribbean culture. How do you approach creating narratives that resonate with both the Caribbean and the Canadian audiences?
Well, even though I live in Canada, I live in Toronto, I am still very much anchored in my Caribbean consciousness. It's one of the reasons, I don't even understand how people could be living here for so much years and don't go home. I find that I, as an artist, I need to go home. I need to ever so often touch base with my land. It is by doing so, it allows me to create as an artist. Because if I continue to just stay here in Toronto, there's no way I could create a narrative coming from that Caribbean perspective, or in my case, Trinbagonian, right? I have to be able to touch base with that land to see what's the goings on, what is current, what is relevant to this generation, because I realize now I'm in another generation now, eh? And so I have to keep up, right? So in order for me to create any work of art with that Caribbean aesthetic, in my case, Trinidad and Tobago, I have to be home, all right? So that's one of the ways in which I'm able to create.
What challenges have you faced as a Black woman in the Canadian theatre industry, and how have you overcome them?
You know, Ozzie, the challenges was facing me and I didn't even know it was a challenge. I say that because it's only since post Floyd, George Floyd, then I started to understand, oh, that is what it is, racism, you know, where you're turned away because for some reason or the other, some stupid reason they give you, and I take it, not knowing that really and truly this subtlety of that turn away is not about your inadequacy or that you're not fit for the job or you can't do it. It was all racism facing me. And coming from Trinidad and Tobago, the only race thing I know was between the Indian and the African, and they would just say, well, you're racial.
Right. Right.
But there were all these different subterranean tendencies that existed, not just in the theatre industry and the arts, but let's say Canada-wide, all right? That I didn't know how to pinpoint it. I didn't know it was happening. I just take it for granted that, okay, all right, okay, thanks, and you leave. But I was only able to identify it post George Floyd, when everybody started to talk about all the different ways, for instance, through these granting for your various projects, that a lot of our stuff as Black people, our work was turned away. We weren't funded for our work. To the point since George Floyd, you have such funding from, like Toronto Arts Council have a grant called Black Arts Funding. Why would you have a fund like that? Simply because you realize that there was a systemic inadequacy, and it wasn't equitable across the board.
Right.
How you funded people's art, and so these are some of the things that I would have encountered, but I didn't know how to identify it. I didn't
How
know
did
that it
you
was.
overcome them? Because you didn't really recognize them. It just didn't stand in your way. Was that it?
Well, yeah, I guess so. But in terms of overcoming, you just keep going.
Right.
You just keep going back again.
Right.
It's not like a case of you overcome it and you get through.
Right.
But I remember the very first grant I wrote for my company, Theatre Archipelago. We were funded across the board. Across the board means federal, provincial, and city.
Wow.
And that, that felt good because it's the first time I'm writing for a grant. It's the company's first work because I just founded this company after working with an African theatre ensemble, which is a company that was dedicated to doing theatre from Africa and its diaspora.
Right.
And I moved away from the company after, of course, learning enough. While I was there, that's how I learned how to do grant writing, how to really work the industry. Because once I graduated in 2001, I was headhunted by African Theatre Ensemble to work with them. So having worked with them for 2 years, and I remember wanting the company to program the play I, Marcus Garvey, as one of the plays to do. And they said, no, it's not African, in that neither is the author from Africa. He was from Montserrat, based in New York for all these years. And they didn't see I, Marcus Garvey as African, as a piece of African theatre. And that's when I say, Rhoma, you got to go. Because if you're not seeing that, then I have to form my own company to do the work that I want to do.
Right.
And that's how Theatre Archipelago came.
How did the experience of performing in Jean and Dinah shape your career, both as a writer and an actress?
Now, Jean and Dinah was created by Tony Hall with myself and another sister named Susan Sandiford.
Right.
It was one of those moments that it became a really turning point for me as an artist, because it was for the first time, of course, your name is against a piece of work as its author, one of the playwrights, right? And I remember when Tony wanted to write that play, he approached myself and Susan Sandiford saying, listen, he has this idea for a play called Jean and Dinah, but he felt as a man, he shouldn't be the one to write it and author it, because Sparrow had already did his due in terms of being the mouthpiece for these women, and as he don't want to be another man again as a mouthpiece.
And Tony's so sensitive, you know,
yes,
to
he's
women.
such a beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
And so he approached us because he knew that we were doing the research on these women, not knowing what I'm going to do with the research. You know, I'm just a storyteller.
Right.
I love listening to stories. Right. And I had befriended one of the women, Jean. Right. Jean and Tong, they used to call her. So he knew that. Right. So he said, you know, if we want to collaborate. And immediately we say, well, by all means. And it was a different way of working. It was not a case of, you know, a play is given to you and you rehearse it. No, this play was created through something called improvisation and research, right? So we do the research by going out and talking with these women, looking for these women, chatting with them. And then we will come back in studio with Tony, set up a camera, and kind of report back to him what these women told us. But we did it in the personhood of the woman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, and so it was a different way of storytelling, of playmaking.
Right.
And
what fun.
And I must say that that experience again gave me some more ammunition as an artist. It allowed me to see another view, another world view of
and also
playmaking.
work in collaboration with others.
Exactly, it was collaborative.
Writing usually is, you know,
collaborative
yourself,
work.
yes.
And we found that every time we sought out one of these women and we chat and we befriend them and all that, they die right after. It was weird. It was weird. And sometimes, one of them, their husbands don't want the wife talking to us because they don't want them bringing up that memory at that time.
Right.
I had to do a lot of bribing and befriending and cajoling to get them to chat with us. Yes.
The result was stupendous.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what role does comedy play in addressing serious social issues within the Caribbean and broader communities, especially for me, the Caribbean?
Oh, God. I don't know. I think sometimes I wonder if people, in amidst all the laughter, if sometimes they really get the point of the message of the comic routine. Excuse me, because indeed, certainly a lot of what I do, because I often tell people I don't come on stage to tell jokes. I talk about my experience as it pertains to me, as I live my life in this world as today. So I will talk about probably menopause. I will talk about the fact that at this age, you don't have, how I put it in one of the communities, you are BLE, bull. I call it bull. You're no longer admirable. Nobody, you don't see no men, back home you'll say, psst.
Yeah.
Nobody does that to you because you're a bull, So these are the things I will deal with in my comedy, in my routine. And I hope that by doing so that you will, because I'm reflecting society, right? Societal norms. And it is my hope that you learn something from it, or you pick up something from it. But a lot of my comedy is always based on my experience talking about,
As the outgoing artist in residence at Bonham Center, what projects are you proud of completing during
Well,
that
it's only
residency?
one project I had to do.
Oh, okay.
Which is the Queen of the Road, the Calypso Rose musical.
Calypso.
That is what I would have submitted to them to be chosen out of all the many applicants to be the artist in residence. You're going to choose one. And so I went in to develop Queen of the Road, Calypso Rose musical. So I had one academic year to do so.
Right.
And it was bookended with a stage workshop of the production at the Hart House Theatre, which is a 422-seat theatre. And 2 weeks before it opened, it was sold out.
Wow.
It was amazing. People came from Ohio, Washington, D.C., New York, just to see a workshop production one day. It's all musical theatre, all right? So what we did at Hart House Theatre was a workshop where you try out, you see how the narrative works, you see how certain choreography and movement and the music, that's what a workshop.
Reminds me of working with Derek Walker.
Yes, exactly. That's why it was called Trinidad Theatre Workshop,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So you workshop all of that and see how things work, and then you know what it is you want to take from that for the full production. And the full production, I did it in Trinidad in June, May to June last year.
2024.
Yes, and it was a critical, huge success. Yeah, and right now we are looking at bringing it now to Toronto with talks for New York and Paris. Yeah.
Lovely. What size theater? At this point, if 425 was sold out,
We're going into a theater called Greenwind Theater, the Meridian Center for the Arts.
How many seats?
Only 296.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You've worked on...
And of course, it runs over 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay, got it. It's not a one night or two, I think.
No.
Perfect.
This is the full production with all the costuming and the beautiful lighting and all of that.
Right.
And runs over 2 weeks.
Wonderful. You have worked with diverse cultural narratives. How do you balance authenticity and accessibility when presenting Caribbean stories in Canada?
Authenticity could only come from research. A lot of the work that I do, anything that I do, period, I have to do the research, all right? I feel I'm a charlatan if I'm going to approach the art without having done that research and background into the theme and the subject matter I'm dealing with. For instance, Calypso Rose musical, the research began by going to her home, staying with her in her home for 2 days, and just chatting with her, recording it, right? Just sit down talking about her childhood from Tobago, her struggles through the Calypso arena, her triumph, right? And then so I have that, her story, her telling me her life. Then I have to listen to recordings of her music from 1964 to 2018. You're talking about, and she have written like over 800 songs.
That's right.
So having to listen to all of that to decipher which of these songs make it to the musical. Yeah? So that's the kind of a background kind of work in order to be able to get that authenticity.
Yes, I understand that very well, which is one of my things in sitting down with, people like yourselves. I need to do the research. And it's
clearly you
important.
did.
Oh, thank you. How do you see the landscape of Caribbean theatre evolving in Canada, and what initiatives do you believe are necessary for its growth?
I must say that I went to see a play last night in Kitchener called Beyonce and Her Mothers or something like that by Tennille Warren, written and directed by her. Jamaican. She's Jamaican. It's a Jamaican play, you know. Tells the story of these three Jamaicans, mother, her daughter, and a tenant down in the basement. From the moment they come on stage, the choreography, the movement that they come on with, I said, a feeling like, yes, I'm inside of a production that is truly Caribbean in form and content.
Right.
All right? The direction, again, very, very, it's only persons who would have descended from the likes of Nettleford, Dennis Scott, Royal Gibbons, Earl Warner. These are the who I call the philosophers and pioneers of Caribbean dance and Caribbean theater in its form and content. Only persons who would have, when I say descended from them, who would have trained at either UWI Creative Arts Center, Mona, or UWI Creative Arts Center in Trinidad, where I was trained, or the Edna Manley School of Drama, right? Only persons coming under that would have understand what I saw there last night. When I say it's Caribbean in theater in its form and content. That to me, I'm saying Canada, I'll say Toronto. To me, that work comes from either the likes of Rhoma Spencer, a girl named Debbie Young, a brother named Jelani Ellis, and then lately Tennille Warren. Yeah? Yeah, it's. I think the only way to explain it is to experience it. If anybody know the work of Nettleford and his philosophy, will understand what I'm talking about, you know? How he takes, how not just Nettleford, but Dennis Scott and these guys take Caribbean culture, all right? It's history to inform the art that they create, yeah? It's just amazing. And I just wish that the whole of Canada could experience it.
What's the name of the play? Do you want?
It's called Beyoncé and Her Mothers. I hope I have it right. Yeah.
Okay. Can you share a memorable moment or interaction with an audience that has left a lasting impact on you or on your career?
I think it'll have to be Jean and Dinah on tour when we did New York. So one of the ways Tony Hall used to publicize Jean and Dinah, right, was we will dress as the characters to do the publicity on the road and what have you. And when we went to New York for the first time, from the moment we clear immigration, went into the toilet and changed into our costume,
Right.
and came outside to one barrage of madness. There was Sparrow as a limousine driver looking for Jean and Dinah with the sign.
No.
Jean and Dinah, yes. And a limo, all right? And then we were brought down to some, it seemed like a basement bar, if you ask me. All right, now in Jean and Dinah, I play blind. Dinah is blind. And I remember, because that's where our audience start from, you know, it's not just in the theater. From the moment we start doing the publicity stuff, we get to this bar, and, you know, so I'm blind, and Jean is like my guide.
Right.
And I remember a lady, you know, helping me along, and she really thinks that I am Dinah. And she's helping too, you know.
Yeah.
Take your time, Dinah. And, you know, we went down to this bar, we did the publicity. And then, of course, time to do the play at the theater. And I remember we did 2 shows in one day. And people line up for the second show while the first show is going on, wrong a corner.
Wow.
You know, that That I remember that being a lasting impression for me as as an artist.
Right.
And then another time as an actor on stage, coming off stage, and it's the only time in all the years, the play's like 30 years, I felt like I was in an out-of-body experience. Because the play takes such a toll on you physically and mentally and spiritually too, that this one occasion I came off stage and I was just drained, and I felt like I had to come back to Rhoma. It was weird. Yeah. And it's only one time that happened. It was for a Carrie Festa in Trinidad in 1992. Yeah.
You emphasize that artists in the theater must learn to write proposals, seek funding, write grants, network, budget, and ultimately find paths to get their art on stage. How did you navigate this end of the business?
As I said before, I worked with the African Theatre Ensemble, which was led by a Nigerian professor named Dr. Modupe Olaogun. And I must give thanks to her. It's just through her, even though she was working as a professor at York University, she carried on this company, African Theatre Ensemble, and I had to learn fast and furious how to be able to write grants and proposals for the art that you want to do, right? Especially, again, as I said, we as Black bodies, remember we are at the bottom of the totem pole, and we had to be just so creative in the way in which we present, our proposal as to what we want to do for the little pittance that they're going to give you, okay? And I remember, just as I said, learning fast and furious through her, especially how to budget, right? So writing the proposal is one thing, but then there's this budgeting that you got to do, and how to balance the budget. That the budget must be balanced. These are things that I learned working with African Theatre Ensemble.
How many of those grants and things are you working on simultaneously? Or
Three.
At a
Federal, municipal, and provincial. Yeah. And then you still also have to do fundraising, right?
Right.
So you send out, what we call back then begging letters to certain, influential persons.
Right.
And again, you still got to pitch your proposal. Yeah. And that's something that I didn't know in Trinidad. I learned that here. Back home, we just did our work. We just did the art.
Somebody else took care of that.
Yeah.
That wasn't your interest at that point.
But here, if you want
To succeed.
your work to be seen,
Right.
you better got to learn how to write a grant. Yeah.
What advice would you give to aspiring actors and playwrights looking to carve out a niche in the arts while navigating these cultural dynamics?
First and foremost, go train. Go to college, university, what have you. Train in the art that you want to do. This notion that people feel that you could just learn something off of YouTube and all that, I don't believe in it. This is how I learn. I mean, I went to grad school. I started off at UWE Creative Arts Center in Trinidad, and then from there moved to do grad school here. So first and foremost, learn your craft, all right? And even when you learn it, okay, you still have to maintain your craft, because an athlete, think of yourself as an athlete, you have to continuously be training, all right, to win the races, right? You cannot feel that you could win the 100-meter dash in this Olympics this year, and do nothing for the next 4 years and expect to win it again in 4 years' time. So continuous training. That is important. That's the first thing I want you to do. And once you're doing that, again, learn how to present yourself, how to sell yourself, how to sell the art that you do. Whether is it through writing it, as through proposals, or doing the networking. Go here, there, and everywhere. Because that's what I had to do in the earlys when I just came here.
It's like show business, right? Everybody's into the show, but they're understanding there's a business that goes with the show that you have to know.
And we're just sad because you just want to be an artist. You don't want to do no business.
It's true.
You know? It's true. But suffice it to say, that is how it has to be done. And again, as black bodies, we have to do double time.
Right.
All right? I mean, the white bodies have to do it too. They also have to write the same grants and all of that. But as black bodies, we had to do it double time.
Right.
Again, post George Floyd and COVID, things keep just falling into your lap without even asking for it. And we give thanks and hope that it remains so until, you know. But yeah, it's important to, one, train, understand your craft, know how to sell yourself, and present yourself in spaces so that people know about you and your work.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Thank you, Caribbean Airlines. Thank you, Jean and Dinah. And thank you, Rhoma Spencer.
And that Akosia, it's really, that name was adapted when I went to Ghana the first time, right? So it means born on a Sunday. So I was born on a Sunday, so my name is Akosia in Ewe.
Lovely.
And a big shout out to Levo, because we went to school together.
Is that right?
Tunapuna Secondary.
Holy smoke, he'd love to hear that. I spoke with him this morning. I didn't tell him who I was going to sit with. So thank you guys. Thank you for Cheese and the OTC team. Please like, follow, share, subscribe, drop a comment, all of that wonderful stuff. Every story leaves a mark. Every voice builds a movement. Now, the spirit of On the Call with Ozzie can travel with you, worn, shared, and supported across the world. Visit us for more merch on thecalledpodcast.com/store. Check it out. Thank you. And as I always say, when you're on your beat, stay on the sunny side of the street, safely, be health conscious, kind to one another, and don't forget to give thanks to the little and big gifts as you strive through this beautiful life. Rhoma Akosia, thank you very much for hanging with us.
Yes.
And sticking with us for the next stop. Say hello. Where can you be reached? Where can you be seen? What are your socials?
You can follow me at Rhoma Spencer on Instagram, Rhoma Akosia Spencer on Facebook, Sweetheart and Delights. That's my moonlighting gig as a caterer, also on Instagram and on Facebook.
And spell Rhoma?
R-H-O-M-A, Rhoma. And Akosia is A-K-O-S-U-A. Rhoma Akosia Spencer on Facebook, or just Rhoma Spencer on Instagram. And Sweet and Delights, also on Instagram. Follow me.
There we go. Follow Rhoma Akosia Spencer. And thank you guys for hanging in with us. Hang out a little longer. Get on the membership page for Inside the Call with Rhoma Akosia Spencer.